so much. I represent Poznan, a city in the west of Poland, between Berlin and Warsaw. We have 500,000 citizens living in Poznan, and totally about 1 million in the entire Poznan agglomeration. So there are two main reasons why we decided to deal with smart city. First of all, we wanted to follow the newest trends, and the trend was towards ecology, towards resilient cities, also the trend towards smart city, which is emphasized right now. So of course we should develop in line with everyone else, and it's important to follow on those important trends. One more reason for which we decided to deal with smart city was technology push. We noticed that numerous technological companies started to emerge in the city and were offering different services. So we realized that this could lead to the situation where there are different islands in the city which are not communicating with each other, and thus they are not very useful. So smart city is a trend or a theory which needs to be adjusted to a particular city, taking into account the context of this particular city, because for a port or for a mountain region city, this would be a totally different situation. One city has a problem with air pollution, another one doesn't. So we need to adjust. And thinking about how to arrange this in Poland, we decided to look at other cities, mainly in Europe, such cities as Tallinn, Stockholm, Copenhagen, and also Vienna. We decided to look for inspiration in the cities which are not far from us, and also it's easier to contact with them in this case. Of course, we could take also examples from the United States, for instance, but their cities are different, and it could be more different to more difficult to apply their solutions here. So inspired by the things developed in Vienna Polytechnic, uh, let's consider several areas of smart city. We, for instance, distributed it into the society, environment, digital city, and mobility. In those areas, we started to speak about smart projects. Some projects were already implemented even before we started to call them smart city projects, but some were still planned for the future. And this entailed a problem because the team which we have created and which represented different areas, different departments, it was tasked to propose different ideas for smart projects. But they wanted to know more. They didn't fully understand what a smart city project was. So we decided that a smart project has two of the four elements. It can be an IT project, an innovative project, which can be a local innovation. It can integrate on the data level, and also it can be inclusive. Like it can include the citizens or it can include the business. So two of the four elements would be enough to call a project a smart project. And this definition simplified the task for us, and there was a wide range of ideas suggested. Some of them were launched later, some of them are active already, and so I will share about some of them a bit later today. Also, we need to further specify this area. We need to prepare some structures and define the responsibilities and communication, and both on the level of communication between the city and the citizens, and also internal communication, because the employees of the city should know that they should be involved. It's not just a small group of employees, it's everyone working for the city. And also it was necessary to involve the citizens in decision making. That's one of the ideas behind Smart City, and we made some effort to strengthen this area. So the key project, in my opinion, uh, is the participation budget, in which we encourage the citizens to take part in decision making and to decide which projects will be implemented within this project. But for this to happen, some technology is necessary because there needs to be voting. It needs to be more or less user friendly, and also the citizens are the one who invent those projects, who propose them, and everything has to happen online and has to be quite easy to use. So this project shows that technology is not a purpose in and of itself, but it is essential for projects to be implemented. So even if the projects are not entirely connected with IT, still IT is necessary for the project to happen. So some other examples come from the area of mobility, which is quite a big area in smart city. And in mobility, we have already got used to the fact that we can use, for instance, GPS, which helps us to move around the city. And also, we are noticing the new kinds of transportation. We also are noticing Uber and new kinds of mobility. So we have opened the transport data. All the public transportation vehicles, they transmit their data, and we had this data before, but these data were not open. And many creators of applications contacted us to open this data. It's not that we didn't want to do that, it's the fact that our systems were not prepared. And thanks to transferring the data to a different format, a number of different applications emerged, and they provide additional services. Our citizens now can see in how many minutes the tram will arrive, and also if they can use car sharing, or if they can rent a bike, for instance, they can see where is the nearest rental spot. So this is the future of smart city in the field of mobility. One more idea is uh, the area of management of energy and environmental issues in general. So we had a number of energy optimization projects in educational institutions, and we managed to reduce the costs of energy used in those educational institutions, but we decided to go a step further. In one of such educational institutions, we have installed a solar panel, and so we were able also to produce some energy. And we were able to verify um, that the energy produced in such a way was sufficient to cover many of the needs of that facility. So that was a pilot, and based on that, we wanted to introduce similar activities on a wider scale. My project is called Digital City, and we make sure that a big number of services are available online, and that citizens don't have to physically come to our location. But for this to happen, we need to improve the back office services, because front office is easy to do, but okay, we need also to change the procedures so that we do not need to actually do something on paper. So we need to improve the processes and also the competences of people working in those areas so that they are able to work with those technologies rather than just having them available. And two more important areas connected with smart city: open data. They are the data which show our transparency. On the one hand, we are not hiding anything. On the other hand, they are the fuel for creativity when it comes to development of applications. And also, they are used by us because when we are introducing a similar project somewhere else, if the data are open, then there is no problem with integrating the system. And one more thing that of which I haven't heard today yet, but it's cyber security. And this is something that takes time to build. Again, people need to be trained. And if we want to be safe digitally, this element has to be developed sustainably in line with other ideas connected with technology. Thank you. So in this case, I would like to
So
ask
I
the
will
following
ask a traditional
question.
question, but in Ukrainian, not Polish, though I speak Polish because I live in Warsaw now. So I have a question to you, with your permission, because Poznan is one of the biggest, the most active cities that introduce technologies of smart cities and other technologies, and but not the only one in Poland. There are some others. And do you see in the concept, you see the development, what developments are possible?
Do you see any
The
field
field for
for cooperation with
cooperation
other
with other
cities?
cities, or because you are a part of EU, maybe it's possible cooperate with other regions of EU. Then what will be your policy in the context of security, of data security, information security that you share with our partners and stakeholders?
We cooperate on many levels with different partners and institutions, especially public institutions. So, for instance, we collaborate with the surrounding communities, and this is happening on the level of experience exchange. Next, after the regional level comes the national level. There are conferences, etc., etc., and also there are European conferences and other events in which we are trying to exchange experience and share our lessons, which we maybe learned on our mistakes. Right now, we are implementing a project within which we have several cities which are quite well developed in a smart city, more developed than we in Poznan are. So they are a lighthouse for us. And also we have technical partners, an IT company, and an example of such a project which has already been implemented was the system for applying for a visit in a city institution. So, of course, because of the pandemic, it is not allowed for everyone to come at any time. And we already had a certain system to arrange a queue. But for such a mode, when the number of users increased, it was impossible to use the previous system, the previous call center, and also the website was not responsive, so it was not suitable to use on mobile devices. So we developed a responsive website, and also it is adjusted for the use by many people. They can simply select the service they want to receive in the institution, and then they are registered for a certain time. So we are implementing this thanks to the support of partners from abroad.